On Christmas, I brought my family a certificate for a stay in a 5-star hotel in Hawaii. However, my mother threw it in the trash. "You're nothing," she said. "Even your gifts are worthless." I stayed silent, but the next day, I canceled their car loan. A week later, their car was repossessed. Hi, Reddit. My name is Jacob, and I'm 29 years old. I work as both a mechanic and a night shift warehouse supervisor. You might wonder why I juggle 2 jobs. It's simple, my family has always needed me to pick up the slack. My brothers, David and Matt, never had to worry about money because my parents paid for everything: college, cars, even their first homes. They're engineers now, well respected and well paid. Me? I was never considered smart enough for higher education. That's what my parents always told me. "You're just not academic material, Jacob," they said. "We need to focus our resources where they'll be best used." My dad once said this when I asked about college tuition. Instead of paying for my education, they encouraged me to get a job right out of high school to help support the household. So, I did. I worked and paid when my mom needed a new dishwasher, I covered it. When Dad's truck needed repairs, I fixed it for free. When David needed help with rent before his first big promotion, who do you think stepped in? I did. Always. And yet, no matter how much I did, it was never enough. This past Christmas, I wanted to do something big for once. I wanted to give my family an unforgettable gift, something that showed I truly cared. So, I spent months saving up, cutting back on my own expenses, working extra shifts, and finally, I bought them a certificate for a stay in a 5-star hotel in Hawaii. I presented it at Christmas dinner, feeling a rare flicker of pride. Mom took the envelope, opened it, read the contents, and then, without even hesitating, threw it straight into the trash. "You're nothing," she said with that all too familiar disgust. "Even your gifts are worthless." The room went quiet. My dad looked away. My brothers exchanged awkward glances but said nothing. I sat there, swallowing every emotion boiling inside me. I had spent months saving for that gift, and she discarded it like garbage. I didn't argue. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just sat there. But the next day, I canceled their car loan. A week later, their car was repossessed. A week after Christmas, I got a text from my mom: "Jacob, the car is missing. Call the bank and fix this now." I almost laughed. Not our car, not Dad's car, just the car, as if it had magically vanished into thin air instead of being repossessed because someone forgot that I was the one making payments. I ignored the message. 10 minutes later, another one came. "Are you serious? You know your father needs that car. He has doctor's appointments. He's stressed enough as it is." Sure, like I hadn't driven him to half those appointments myself. Then came the group chat explosion. "David, dude, just fix this. It's not that big of a deal." "Matt, Mom is freaking out. You really think this was necessary?" "Mom, you are selfish and cruel after everything we've done for you." That one actually made me pause. Everything they had done for me? Flashback to age 14, I got my first job at a gas station that summer. My parents didn't ask if I wanted to work, they just handed me a list of family contributions I'd be responsible for now that I had an income. $200 a month, Mom had said. "You live here, don't you?" Meanwhile, David and Matt got to play sports, go to summer camp, and take SAT prep courses. I spent my weekends wiping windshields and stocking shelves. One night, I came home late after covering someone else's shift. The house was dark except for the glow of the living room TV. My dad was on the couch, sipping a beer. "You're getting lazy, Jacob," he said without looking away from the screen. I stood there, still smelling like gasoline and sweat. "Matt and David study hard, they're going places. You just work at a gas station." I had never felt smaller in my life. Back to the present day, now suddenly I was the selfish one, the cruel one. I put my phone down and went back to my workbench at the shop. My shift wasn't over, and unlike them, I had responsibilities I couldn't just dump on someone else. But I knew this wasn't over. That night, my dad called. I stared at his name flashing on my screen. He never called me unless he needed something. I let it ring twice before answering. "Jacob," he said, his voice tight. "What is going on?" I wiped my hands on a rag, unsure what he meant. "Your mother is hysterical. She had to take an Uber to the grocery store today. Do you know how embarrassing that was for her?" I almost laughed. "She could have used my old truck." "Oh wait, you told me to sell it to help cover Matt's tuition, remember?" "Don't start with that," he snapped. "Why did you stop the payments?" I took a slow breath because it wasn't my car, and because I'm done being used. There was silence. Then, quieter, he said, "You know we always expected better from you." A part of me wanted to snap, to yell, to finally tell him exactly what I thought about the way they had treated me my entire life. But I didn't. I just smiled to myself and said, "Yeah, well, I expected better from you too." And then I hung up. After my dad's call, there was silence, no messages, no fake apologies, nothing. But I knew my family too well. Their silence wasn't surrender, it was a storm gathering strength. For years, I had been the one keeping them afloat, and they were fine with that as long as I stayed in my place. But the moment I broke free, the moment I showed them that I wasn't going to be their personal ATM anymore, that's when they panicked. Flashback to graduation day when my brothers graduated from college. My parents threw grand celebrations, catered food, custom banners, expensive gifts. Mom cried happy tears as she handed Matt the keys to a brand new car. When I graduated from high school, they tossed a grocery store cake on the counter. No party, no gifts, just a dismissive "Well, you weren't planning on college anyway, right?" That was the moment I realized I was never the son they were proud of, just the one they expected to work. Back to the present, on the 10th day after their car was repossessed, Matt texted me, "Matt, you happy now? Mom's been crying for days. You're disgusting." I ignored it. The next morning, another message came, "Dad, let's talk like adults." Like adults, as if they had ever treated me like one. I ignored it. But 3 days later, they made their next move. I got a bank notification, $2,500 withdrawn from my account. I checked my statement. Mom had used my credit card to pay her medical bills. She didn't ask, she didn't warn me, she just took it because they knew I wouldn't let them starve. They knew I wouldn't let my own mother go without health care. They knew I was the responsible one. What they didn't know was that I was done being their safety net. The next morning, I canceled every automatic payment linked to my account. I blocked every access point they had. Then I called my bank and disputed the charge. Within hours, the money was back in my account. But I wasn't done. I opened a document I had saved for years, a contract my parents once convinced me to sign. The house they lived in was in my name. They had been drowning in debt years ago, so they refinanced the house under my credit, promising they'd take over payments. They never did. I had been the one making every payment, and now they thought they could steal from me? I signed a single paper and put their house up for sale. Flashback to how my brothers operated. The funny thing is, my parents had 2 other sons who made more than enough to help them, but did they? Not a chance. Rich people don't share. David and Matt both had 6-figure salaries. They drove brand new cars, lived in luxury apartments, and vacationed in Europe. But when it came to helping Mom and Dad, suddenly they were. You can click on share and more to see if there is a part 2.